Hey! Welcome back to the 2020 Global Cities Tournament here on GeoBrax. Since you guys have all seen episodes 1 and 2, yes you have, we're going to go straight into the matchups here. The first and second rounds of quadrant number 2. The first matchup for this episode is number 5, Beijing, China, versus 107th ranked Casablanca, Morocco. And as always, the master of the draw is in the building. What's the first category, please?
Gross domestic product.
And we're starting off with the blowout. Yes, the number 5 overall seed, Beijing, $554 billion GDP. Casablanca is somewhere in the $38 billion range. That's a 1-0 lead. Can Beijing keep it rolling? Let's see.
Cost of living.
If I were to have $13,978 worth of goods in Casablanca, it would cost me $22,000 worth in Beijing. So that is a victory for Casablanca. We have ourselves a 1-1 draw. Third category, please.
Best flag.
There is no city flag for Beijing. In fact, it's not really a city emblem or anything. What you see here is actually the imperial seal of the Ming dynasty, which was chosen because they were the ones who made Beijing their capital city in 1420, and they were the ones who liberated it when it was still the city of Khan Malik. And basically, Casablanca is going to win by default because they have an actual flag. Yeah, 2-1 lead for Casablanca. Can they pull off the upset? Let's see what the next category is.
Purchasing power.
Well, you would imagine that if you lost the cost of living, you have a good chance of winning purchasing power. And it holds true here. 71.8% higher purchasing power for those living in Beijing. So, to start off, yet again, a 5th category for the win. Let's hear it.
Crime index.
Can the East Asian city win the crime index category? The odds are good. In fact, in this case, they're 100%. Crime index in Beijing, 33.63, very low. Casablanca, 55.60. That's a 3-2 victory for the number 5 overall seed, Beijing, to the 3rd round. Let's mosey on in here for our next second round matchup. That is the number 72 overall, Jakarta, Indonesia, versus number 61 overall, Warsaw, Poland. All right, master of the draw. First category, please.
Surface area.
Fascinating decision here from the master of the draw. The surface area of Warsaw, Poland, 517 square km. Pretty large for a European capital city. But not as large as an Indonesian capital city, 662 square km. And that is a 1-0 lead for Jakarta. What is the second category, please?
Busiest airport.
This one is a massive blowout. 5.5 million to the Chopin Airport in Warsaw. The Sukarno-Hatta Airport in Jakarta gets 66.9 million passengers a year. That is a 2-0 lead. They're going for the sweep. Will they get it? Will they get it? Master the draw.
Highest elevation.
Jakarta's about as sea level as you can get. 8 meters max elevation. It's not going to be good enough for the sweep. Maximum elevation of Warsaw, 116 meters. Closing the gap to 1-2. Category 4, por favor.
Crime index.
Usually these go very easily to the East Asian city, but Jakarta, surprisingly high, 53.42. Warsaw, surprisingly low at 26.60. What does that mean? Category 5 time, yet again. What's it gonna be?
Public transportation usage.
This is not a good draw for Jakarta. Looks like they're going to blow an 0-2 lead. They have about a 19.12% public transportation usage rate, whereas in Warsaw, it's nearly half. It's about 49.1% people use public transportation on the way to school and work. That is the comeback from the 0-2, 3-2 victory here in the second round for Warsaw. They're moving on to the third round. We're back for some more round 2 action. Here in quadrant number 2, we have 46th overall Dublin, Ireland versus number 85 Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Master of the draw. What's the first category?
Average high temperature.
We're trying to get to 23 degrees Celsius. We have one city located here, another city located here. These are both going to be horribly not close to 23 Celsius. But let's see exactly what the average high monthly temperature is for Jeddah. 33.75. Insanely high. Dublin, 13.25, which is somehow still closer to 23. That's a 1-0 lead for Dublin. Next category, please.
Best skyline.
Dublin's pretty lucky that this is not 10 years from now, because there's tons of money being dumped into Jeddah right now to build skyscrapers. But if you do the image searches, make sure you're not looking at the projected image search, because the current image of Jeddah is not really a skyline. One of the few cities I think Dublin can actually beat in this category, and they do. 2-0 lead to Dublin. That was a subjective one. Sorry if you didn't like it. Next category, please.
Surface area.
This is where having all the room in the Arabian Peninsula is working in your favor. 1,600 square kilometers in Jeddah city limits. Only 118 square km in Dublin. The gap is closed to 2-1. Can Dublin finish it in 4? Let us know.
Population.
They cannot finish it in 4. Dublin's population is about 550,000. Jeddah's population is 4 million. That's a 2-2 draw. And yet another 5th category. This episode has all the drama to start off. What are we going to know? What's the 5th one?
Public transportation usage.
And an absolute stinker of a category for Jeddah here. 3.8% public transportation usage. Dublin is more respectable, 29.3%. And they're more respectably going to the third round with a 3-2 win over Jeddah. Continuing with the second round here in quadrant number 2, we have 95th overall Kuwait City, surprisingly in the country Kuwait, and the number 30 seeded city, Miami, United States of America. Mr. Master of the Draw, let us have the first category, please.
Traffic index.
So we've taken a look at the current traffic situation. I've got helicopters in the sky. By satellite imaging, I am getting word from my reporters on the street. The traffic index in Kuwait City is 143.57, but in Miami, 213.14. Thank you to the eye in the sky, Kuwait City leads 1-0. Next category, please.
Tallest building.
Miami's tallest building within the city limits is actually Panorama Tower at 85 floors. It is 265 meters tall. Tallest building in Kuwait City is 83 floors, the Burj Al Hamra. But somehow it is 414 meters tall. That is a lot more meters per floor. A huge victory for Kuwait City. They now lead 2-0. Will it be a sweep? Let us know.
Annual rainfall.
It will not. It will not be a sweep. The city in the Middle East, 128 millimeters per year versus a city in the Caribbean, 1,570 millimeters of annual rainfall in Miami. They take the category. They're only down 1-2. Can they take it to another 5th category?
Gross domestic product.
The GDP of Kuwait City was $166 billion, but the GDP of Miami, $377.5 billion at the last count. That is a big time win. And yet again here in the second quadrant, another fifth category. What's it gonna be?
Largest stadium.
A lot of the Miami franchises don't actually play in Miami, which means the largest stadium in Miami is Lone Depot Park, the baseball stadium, 36,742. The largest stadium in Kuwait City is the Jabir Al Ahmad International Stadium with 60,000 seats. The upset, the 3-2 victory to Kuwait City. We are continuing with some more second round action here. The number 25 seeded city, Buenos Aires, Argentina, facing off with the largest city in Ethiopia, number 114, Addis, Ababa. What is our first category, please?
International visitors.
But we have one right here in the center of everything. We have another one over here, away from everything. Should be advantage to Addis Ababa, but it's not. Only about 870,000 visitors, international visitors per year to Addis Ababa, whereas it's 2.7 million per year to Buenos Aires. Surprising 1-0 lead for the South American city. Next category, please.
Traffic index.
We have ourselves a 2-0 game. Buenos Aires traffic index of 196.76. But in Addis Ababa, very bad traffic, 238.05. Can the number 25 seed finally provide something other than a 5-game victory in this second quadrant?
Highest elevation.
The elevation of Addis Ababa is 2,355 meters. That is one of the highest cities in the entire world. Highest elevation of Buenos Aires, 25 meters. Will they win it in 4, though?
Crime index.
Oh, they're absolutely not going to win this one in 4. We're going to 5 again. Somewhat run-of-the-mill 47.66 for Addis Ababa, and a very bad 63.16 crime index in Buenos Aires sends us to a fifth category here in the second quadrant. And what's it going to be?
Surface area.
The surface area of Buenos Aires is 203 square kilometers. It is 527 square kilometers. An impressive comeback victory from the upset bid. Addis Ababa is going to the third round. Just gotta get these stretches in. Gotta stay safe and healthy because the second round is continuing in full force. Number 65, Dusseldorf, Germany, is taking on the, in my opinion, severely underrated number 43, Philadelphia, United States. Master of the draw. First category, please.
Busiest airport.
Dusseldorf, DUS, had 25.5 million passengers at last count, but Philadelphia, PHL, 33 million passengers. That's a 1-0 lead to Philly. Second category, please.
Largest urban park.
This is an absolute monstrosity of a blowout. Süd Park, 173 acres in Dusseldorf. Philadelphia has a 9,200 acre urban park called Fairmount Park. Enormous. One of the biggest you'll find in any city. That is a 2-0 lead to Philly. Can they take it here?
Cost of living.
This is an interesting one. Will the German city defeat the US in cost of living? Well, if I had $4,195 in Dusseldorf, it would take $5,200 to buy the same amount of stuff in Philly. That's a 2-1 lead. Can Dusseldorf make it another 5-category matchup? Let us know.
Largest stadium.
The Merkur Spiel Arena, 69,600. But Philadelphia has Lincoln Financial Field, 69,796 capacity. That is a 3-1 victory for the American city. First round action here in quadrant number 2. We have number 133, Puebla, Mexico, against the wild card, Havana, Cuba. We know the wild cards have been dangerous so far in this tournament. Dear master of the draw, how are we beginning this one?
Highest elevation.
Well, it looks like the wild card's not taking a lead in this one. Highest elevation, 59 meters, whereas Puebla, 2,135 meters. That's a 1-0 lead. Let's hear the next category, please.
Best skyline.
There are about, 7 to 9 tall buildings in Puebla, but they're not exactly next to each other. They're pretty spread out. It's not cohesive. Whereas if you look at Havana's skyline, you have the Caribbean and all these beautiful hotels that are high-rises. You have El Capitolio in the distance, and there's this one angle from the lighthouse on the other side of the undersea tunnel that's just absolutely spectacular. And for that reason, subjectively, I'm subjecting you to a subjective 1-1 tie. What is subjectively the third category, please?
Population.
1.7 million in Puebla, 2.1 million in Havana. That's a 2-1 lead for the Cubans. Can they finish it off in 4?
Purchasing power.
They absolutely cannot finish that off in 4. This is, it's 1,852% higher in Puebla. Yeah, let's just move on. That's 2-2, another category 5. What's it going to be?
Annual rainfall.
This is the rain dance. This is the rain dance for the people of Havana. They get 1,225 millimeters a year. In Puebla, respectable 970. But we'll just have to give them their respects on the way out. Havana wins 3-2. They're on to the second round. There ain't no rest for the wicked. Havana right back at it here in the second round. They're facing off against the capital of India, number 56 overall, Delhi. Oh master of this draw. How are we beginning this matchup?
Busiest airport.
The Jose Marti International Airport in Havana. 5.7 million passengers. But then we also have Delhi, which is, right here next to China and Pakistan and the rest of India. 69.9 million passengers go to the Indira Gandhi Airport on a yearly basis. An easy 1-0 lead for Delhi. Second category, please.
Traffic index.
We have one of the absolute worst traffic indexes you'll ever see. 283.58 in Delhi. It is absolutely no contest. Information is sparse on Havana, but I haven't been there. Traffic's not very bad at all. Car ownership is very low in Havana. An easy victory. We're tied at 1-1. Third category, please.
Largest stadium.
This is surprisingly close. You wouldn't figure this, but Havana, Cuba has a 55,000-seater for a baseball stadium, Estadio Latinoamericano. But Delhi, with the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium of Delhi. There are multiple with the same name. But the one in Delhi is 60,254 seats. And now they're sitting on a 2-1 lead. Can they finish off the wild card in the second round? Let us know.
Surface area.
The city of Havana sits on 728 square kilometers. The city of Delhi, sitting on pretty much exactly double that, 1,484 square kilometers. Delhi in 4. Delhi to the third round. Gotta stay agile, gotta stay active, because we're one match away from being halfway through the second quadrant. This is the second round tilt between number 87 Chengdu, China, versus number 14 overall seed Brussels in Belgium. Oh, master of the draw. What's the first category?
Surface area.
Tiny city in terms of area is Brussels. Only 162 square kilometers. Chengdu, China, more pedestrian, 886 square km. That is a 1-0 lead for Chengdu. Category 2.
Traffic index.
Brussels, Belgium with a respectable 151.45. But alas, in Chengdu, 129.28. Very, very low traffic. That's a 2-0 lead. Can they finish the surprising upset here in the third category?
Cost of living.
And how sweet it is! Chengdu, China. If you had $1,968 worth of goods, those would have cost you $3,900 in Brussels. And as I said before, it's a sweep. We're halfway through this episode. Welcome to the second half of the first and second rounds here in quadrant number 2. We have ourselves a first round matchup between Salvador, Brazil, number 120, and the wild card, Medellin, Colombia. What's the first category, please?
Traffic index.
This is as close can be. 159.78 in Medellin, 158.34 in Salvador. 1-0 lead to the city in Bahia. Next category, please.
Highest elevation.
City on the outskirts of the Andes or a city on the Atlantic coast? We know how this is going. It's 8 meters in Salvador, 1,494 in Medellin. We got ourselves a 1-1 draw here in South America's first round. Third category, please.
Cost of living.
In Salvador, it is about 16% higher, the cost of living. Another very close category. This one goes to the city from Antioquia. A 2-1 lead for Medellin. Can they go to the second round?
International visitors.
Medellin, Colombia have received about 550,000 international visitors. And I'll let you know, there were about 9.3 million visitors to Salvador at last count. 95% of them, though, are from Brazil, which means that international visitors is only 465,000. Yeah, Medellin surprisingly winning that category. Another wild card winning the first round, a 3-1 victory for Medellin. Oh, don't mind me, just doing what I do, studying the map. But it's time for the second round. Medellin, the wild card, continuing its run here against the 13 overall seed right there in San Francisco, United States. First category, please, Mr. Master of the Draw.
Crime index.
Neither city faring particularly well in this category. Medellin with a 51.53. But in San Francisco, California, it's 56.73. A clear victory to Medellin. Second category, please.
Largest stadium.
Just like the way Miami suffered, this too is going to have to be San Francisco's baseball stadium, because it's the only real stadium in San Francisco itself. Oracle Park, 41,915. But the Atanasio Girardot Stadium in Medellin seats 53,335. The wild card on the verge of a sweep. Will they get it?
Tallest building.
Well, that's one where San Francisco is going to win for sure. They have the Salesforce Tower, 61 floors tall, 326 meters in the air. Tallest building in Medellin is the Coltejer building, 36 floors, 175 meters. That means we're going to need a fourth category, please.
Largest urban park.
United States known for its urban parks. 1,017 acres is the size of Golden Gate Park. Very large park. But Medellin, Colombia, if you just ride the teleférico, you're still in Medellin when you're in Parque Arví. 39,500 acres. One of the largest urban parks in the world. Clear victory. 3-1. Medellin to the third round. Is this thing on? More second round action here. Xi'an, China, number 87 overall, versus number 54, Oslo, Norway. First category, please.
Best skyline.
Subjective one. Subjecting me to the hate in the comments section. Thank you, Master of the Draw. Well, between these two cities, the better skyline is, in fact, Xi'an. Just the sheer height of the buildings everywhere. It's more impressive. Norway has, the nice fjord in the city, but the skyline is better in Xi'an. That's 1-0 to Xi'an. Next category, please.
Gross domestic product.
Does Oslo have a chance of being a Chinese city? They made 76.7 billion in GDP. But Xi'an, China, 154.2 billion to clear. 2-0 lead. Third category, if you please.
Largest stadium.
Largest stadium in Oslo. Also the largest stadium in Norway. Very small for this category. The Ullevål Stadion, 28,000. The Xi'an Olympic Sports Center seats 60,000. And they're going to be seating some fans here for some third round action because that's where Xi'an is going with a 3-0 win here. Well, we're continuing here with the Nordic theme. The number 39 ranked city of Stockholm, Sweden against 117 Karachi, Pakistan. First category, if you will, Master of the Draw.
Cost of living.
This should be a very simple victory for Karachi. And it is. If you had $9,755 worth of goods, it would cost you $46,000 to purchase that in Stockholm. An easy 1-0 lead for Karachi. Can they make it 2-0?
Population.
They have made it 2-0. 14.9 million in Karachi. 976,000 in Stockholm. They're down 0-2. Can they pull it back? Starting with third category.
Gross domestic product.
You would hope for their sake a city with 15 times the population would be able to win the gross domestic product category, but they cannot. 164 billion for Karachi, 170 billion in Stockholm. They eke out the third category. They're staying alive. What about the fourth category?
Traffic index.
Karachi, 187.43 traffic index. Stockholm, I don't think they even have a word in Swedish for traffic. Their index is 120.56. We heard it earlier in the episode. It's been a while, but we're going to the fifth category. What's it going to be?
Average high temperature.
Stockholm better hope that there's some extreme heat in Karachi because Stockholm's average high is 9.83 Celsius. Yeah, they lost. Karachi is 31.42. A 3-2 victory for the Pakistani city. They're going to the third round. More second round action here. In the second quadrant, we have number 115, Muscat, Oman, versus the number 18 seed, Melbourne, in Australia. First category, please.
Best skyline.
You have the views from the Yarra River against pretty basic city with just some white buildings by the coast. Melbourne with a 1-0 lead. That's a great skyline. Hard to see anyone beating that. Have you ever been to Federation Square and looked up? Amazing. 1-0. Second category, please.
Purchasing power.
How is that air purchasing power against Southeast Australia? It's very comparable, but Melbourne pulls out the victory, 14.8% higher purchasing power. Third category, please.
Public transportation usage.
Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to inform you that there is no public transportation usage in Muscat, Oman. They have defaulted the category. Melbourne wins the category, 25.3%. And as a result of the default for not having public transportation, Melbourne has advanced to the third round with a 3-0 victory. Thank you. Oh, we're going over that shoulder this time. I don't think y'all saw that coming now, did ya? Continuing with the second round action, number 29 seeded Montreal, Quebec, Canada, against number 72 overall, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Category the first, please.
Tallest building.
The tallest building in Rio de Janeiro city is Rio Sul Center. It is 50 floors. And it's 164 meters tall. The tallest building in Montreal is 1,250. That's the address. René Levesque at 47 floors, which is 3 floors less. But it's 226 meters. A clear victory for Montreal. 1-0 lead in this matchup. Dear Master of the Draw, what is the second one?
Public transportation usage.
Pretty good for Canadian City. We're seeing 34.27%. But Rio de Janeiro, 48.9% of the folks are using public transit to get to work and school. We got a 1-1 draw. Category 3, please.
Highest elevation.
So we have a beautiful coastal city known for its wonderful beaches and lack of elevation on the beaches. About a 2-meter elevation there in Rio de Janeiro. An easy victory at 233 meters for Montreal. Except for the fact that there are these massive hills in Rio de Janeiro that pop up randomly, maxing out at 1,020 meters. Rio de Janeiro, 2-1 lead on Montreal. Can they knock out the seeded team? Category 4, please.
Crime index.
Oh, they're not going to knock him out with that one. Ooh. Crime index in Rio de Janeiro is an abysmal 77.64. One of the worst 10 I've ever seen. Crime index in Montreal is 29.97. Maybe one of the 10 best I've ever seen. That is a 2-2 draw. We have ourselves another 5th category.
Busiest airport.
And it comes down to this. Well, the busiest airport in Brazil is not in Rio de Janeiro, and that might be the difference here. Galeão International Airport sees 13.5 million passengers a year, but the Montreal Trudeau Airport, 20.3 million, and Montreal survives a close fight on to the third round. High stepping into more second round action. The number 101 ranked Hyderabad, India, facing off against number 37 overall, Rome, Italy. First category, please.
Largest urban park.
Well, there's not too much space left in Rome, what with all the historical buildings and whatnot. No new buildings since 1945, except for one museum. Anyhow, largest urban park is Villa Doria Pampili or Villa Ala. They're both 450 acres. But the largest urban park of Hyderabad, Kasu Brahmananda Reddy Park, 390. Roma, the Eternal City, up 1-0. Can they keep it going? Category 2, please.
Best skyline.
So you would assume what I just said about not having any new buildings would probably condemn you. But Hyderabad does not have much of a skyline. And when you're comparing that to, I don't know, the Victor Emmanuel II wedding cake, Trajan's Column, and Colosseum all in the same view, a surprising 2-0 lead to Rome. Can they sweep?
Crime index.
I'm gonna retract the can they sweep comment. 52.63 crime index in Rome. Hyderabad, 43.52. Significantly safer there in Hyderabad in terms of crime. They've closed it to 1-2. Can they push it to a 5th category?
Tallest building.
And again, what I've been saying about no new buildings and whatnot, that's only in the city center. Rome has some taller districts in the outskirts, which are still in Rome. They have a building called Torre Erodowski, 35 floors tall, 155 meters. Now there are two twin buildings in Hyderabad, both 45 floors. The Loda Belleza Tower, 3 and 4, 153 meters, and by 2 meters, basically one of me, actually, a little bit more than one of me, but one of me, Rome going to round number 3. Here we are for a first round matchup, the final first round matchup here in the second quadrant. That is number 148, the absolute lowest ranked team that made it directly in. Alexandria, Egypt versus the wild card, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. You know how the wild cards have been rolling. Can they keep it rolling here? The first category.
International visitors.
There are very, very few international visitors to Dar es Salaam. At least in terms of the tourist numbers we could put up, it's less than 50,000. Whereas in Alexandria it appears to be about 510,000. That's a 1-0 lead to Alexandria. Can they push it to 2?
Busiest airport.
This is a close one. Neither one is particularly that busy. The Borg El Arab Airport, which is in a suburb named Borg El Arab, 2.2 million passengers, whereas the Julius Nyerere Airport, DAR, 2.4 million. A very close victory to Dar es Salaam, pushing it to a 1-1 draw. Moving on to category 3, please.
Largest capacity stadium.
And yes, we made the distinction where suburbs can count for the airport, but not for the stadium. Borg El Arab, your stadium doesn't count. That's why it's Haras El Hodood Stadium at 22,000 in Alexandria. That's going to count in this category. The Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam seats 60,000. It's a 2-1 lead for the wild card. We're going to have yet another wild card win a matchup. Category 4.
Surface area.
We've taken a look at the numbers. The surface area of Dar es Salaam is 1,493 square kilometers. Welcome to the second... What's that? Alexandria is 2,679 square km. Alright, you know what? Welcome to the 5th category. What's it going to be?
Purchasing power.
Folks, this is an absolute coin flip. But luckily for Alexandria, that is a weighted coin. They have 26.2% higher purchasing power and 100% higher chance of getting to the second round with a 3-2 win. We're almost to the end here with episode 3. 2 more second round matchups to go here in the second quadrant. You just saw number 148 Alexandria here in the second round against number 51, Tel Aviv, Israel. Master the draw. How does this one begin?
Annual rainfall.
Usually I don't put my money on teams here in the Middle East, but then when you look at Alexandria's right here, we have ourselves an interesting toss-up here. Only 531 millimeters a year in Tel Aviv, but only 259 in Alexandria. Israel making it rain? 1-0 lead. Second category, please.
Gross domestic product.
Well, this one is a clear victory to Tel Aviv, 153.3 billion. GDP of Alexandria, 32.4. We're going to category 3. Is it going to be a sweep?
Crime index.
A very, very low crime index of 26.17 in Tel Aviv. You hate to see it. Alexandria at a very low 38.71, but that's not close. That is a 3-0 throttling Tel Aviv into the third round. Final matchup of this episode, number 76, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates versus the number 3 overall seed, Paris, France. Master of the draw. Let it begin.
Annual rainfall.
638 millimeters in Paris, not too much, but in Abu Dhabi, it is dry, 130 millimeters a year. That's a 1-0 to Paris. Let's continue, please.
Tallest building.
You can't look at La Défense because it's not in the city limits. Tallest building, it's also the most famous building. It's the Eiffel Tower at 3 official stories tall, but 324 meters. That could win, except there's something called the Mohammed bin Rashid Tower. 92 floors, 382 meters. That is a 1-to-1 draw. Continue, please.
Largest stadium.
Paris not going to be happy, but Saint-Denis is not inside the city limits. Therefore, it can't be Stade de France. It is Parc des Princes. 47,929. Largest stadium in Abu Dhabi. Zayed Sports City. 43,206. Parc des Princes still winning the category for Paris. A 2-to-1 lead for the 3 seed. Can they move on in the fourth?
Best skyline.
This one will surprise you. The skyline does not have to be inside the city. It's what you see from the city. And if you look up the Champs-Élysées at the Arc de Triomphe, and you see all of the buildings in La Défense district, just outside the city limits. It's an absolutely majestic skyline. Powering past the skyline of Abu Dhabi into a 3-to-1 victory, Paris, into the third round. Thank you all for tuning in here to episode 3 of the Global Cities Tournament 2020 on GeoBrax. We appreciate you. Follow along with all of what we have here on the Discord channel. Link in the description. And thank you guys for tuning in. As always, please subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.